me exactly what happened.
Well, I killed somebody.
You killed somebody?
Yes, sir.
We're diving into the true crime confession of Tony Peralta, a New Mexico man who called police and confessed to a crime that he committed almost 15 years ago. This is the story of William C. Blodgett, taken from this world way too soon. The most recent communication involving Mr. William C. Blodgett occurred during daylight hours on Tuesday, December 23rd, 2008. On that particular day, the weather deviated slightly from the typical December conditions as the recorded temperature reached 65 degrees Fahrenheit, accompanied by gusts of wind reaching up to 46 miles per hour. According to Mr. Blodgett's girlfriend, their last conversation took place sometime in the middle of that day. The significance of this call didn't really seem too significant at that time, as it would take another 11 days before anyone became aware of Mr. Blodgett's absence. As the initial weekend of the new year 2009 approached, Greg Blodgett, Bill Blodgett's eldest son, found himself compelled to contact the Roswell Police Department from his residence in Maryland in order to file a report for a missing person. None of the individuals close to Bill Blodgett had any knowledge of his whereabouts, leaving Greg with the responsibility of conveying this information. Although Greg's mother resided in Roswell, she had finalized her divorce from William Blodgett just over 2 years before his disappearance. The first instance of Joan Blodgett initiating legal action against her husband William Blodgett occurred when she sought representation from attorney Richard Kraft, resulting in the filing of a petition for dissolution of marriage on June 5th of 2003, which would be exactly 20 years to the day of this recording. 315 days later, Judge Alvin F. Jones issued an order of dismissal which contained the following statement: case is dismissed for lack of prosecution. Almost a full year had passed without any progress in the case. However, on November 21st, 2005, the Monday preceding Thanksgiving, Joan Blodgett initiated divorce proceedings once again. It is documented that she and her soon-to-be former spouse had reached a settlement agreement. 49 days later, Judge Ralph D. Shamus issued the final decree of dissolution of marriage, effectively terminating the marital union between Joan and William Blodgett. Consequently, on the following Tuesday, after Bill Blodgett and his girlfriend concluded their phone conversation with one adult child residing in Maryland and the other in Maine, there was no one present to notice his sudden disappearance. After 6 days since Bill Blodgett's son reported him missing, a brief entry appeared in the local section of the Roswell Daily Record on Saturday, January 9th, 2008. And the article appealed for assistance from the public in the search for a 69-year-old man who seemed to have abandoned his residence the previous month. And according to the article, Mr. Blodgett resided alone and had his last known conversation with his girlfriend on December 23rd. The Roswell Police Department's efforts to locate him had thus far proved unfruitful. Furthermore, the police had been unable to ascertain the activities or whereabouts of Bill Blodgett in the period leading up to his disappearance. What we knew at that time regarding Bill Blodgett's physical description indicated that he stood approximately 5 feet 9 inches tall and weighed around 165 pounds. Given their inability to determine his location or the individuals that he might be with, the Roswell Police Department's public information officer, Travis Holley, summarized the situation by stating, "We're kind of at wit's end." And by the time the May 12, 2009 edition of the Roswell Daily Record went to press, Almost 5 months had gone by since Bill Blodgett's girlfriend had spoken, and it seems that the Roswell Police Department was still stymied in its efforts to find him. You see, detectives on the case, they had uncovered no signs of foul play, but they had also not discovered any sign of Mr. Blodgett. And someone at the Roswell Police Department said it was as if Mr. Blodgett dropped off the face of the earth. Fast forward 14 years later, on May 1st, 2023, Tony Peralta, 37 years old, had called police from a gas station in Roswell, New Mexico, and told dispatchers he had killed his former landlord, 69-year-old William Blodgett, in December of 2008.
Sir, tell me exactly what happened.
Well, I killed somebody.
You killed somebody?
Yes, sir.
The man then told police where he had buried the body of the victim, and police soon after discovered the victim's remains. Tony Ray Peralta was booked into the Chaves County Detention Center shortly before 1 a.m. Tuesday, May 1st, following his arrest by the Roswell Police Department. Peralta had called 911 about 12 hours earlier, around 1:15 p.m. Monday, and told a dispatcher he had killed somebody. The Roswell Police Department Criminal Investigations Division first wasn't sure what to believe. They thought they could possibly be receiving false information. They investigated Peralta's claim and determined the victim to be William Blodgett, 69 years old. His son had reported him missing January 3rd, 2009, after his son had been unable to make contact with him since December 23rd, 2008. Now, Roswell Police Department investigators at that time believed Blodgett may have been murdered and had identified Peralta as a possible suspect after learning from Blodgett's girlfriend that Blodgett had allegedly had some sort of argument or fight with Peralta, who was living as a tenant in part of Blodgett's house, and Blodgett had tried to evict him. The girlfriend shared that Mr. Blodgett was upset because he believed that Peralta had stolen cash and his wallet. However, investigators eventually exhausted all leads and the investigation stalled pending further investigation. On Monday, May 1st of 2023, Peralta went to the Allsup store at the corner of North Main Street and Country Club Road, borrowed a phone from someone, and made his 911 call, telling a dispatcher he had killed somebody, and then gave the phone back to its owner. Additional information was obtained to determine where Peralta was, and officers responded to the store where they found Peralta. He was detained for questioning. He remained in police custody until he was formally arrested later that night. Meanwhile, Roswell Police Department investigators, they obtained a search warrant for a house in the 400 block of East 5th Street, the residence where the two men had lived at the time of Blodgett's disappearance, and the site at which Peralta indicated Blodgett's body had been buried. Inside an attached room on the west side of the house, plywood floorboards were removed and excavation was begun, resulting in the discovery of the buried human remains, including many bones and a set of dentures. The dentures were compared with Blodgett's dental records, which had been obtained in 2009 after he was reported missing, and that comparison, along with other information gathered during the investigation, led investigators to believe the remains were that of Blodgett. When interviewed by an RPD detective, Peralta could not offer a motive for the killing, which he said he carried out using a screwdriver. Peralta told the detective he now felt a need to confess. Body cam footage captured by the arresting officers shows Peralta repeatedly thanking officers for arresting him and confessing to the crime after they appeared on the scene. As the two officers approached Peralta, he expresses his wariness of concealing the truth, stating that he is exhausted from concealing it and expressing his desire to end the burden of living with his falsehood. Peralta voluntarily places his hands behind his back, assuming a position for the handcuffs, and extends his gratitude to the officers for their arrival and assistance. During an interview conducted at the police headquarters, Peralta, now restrained, openly admits to detectives, saying, "I admit it, gentlemen, I confess. I can no longer bear to live without confessing." Peralta discloses that his severe addiction to methamphetamine drove him to commit his heinous act of taking Blodgett's life, as the latter had denied him financial assistance. Because his landlord wouldn't give him money, he did the unthinkable. He confesses to burying the victim within his own residence. After guiding the police to the house where he claims the murder occurred, Peralta provides information on the location of Blodgett's body. Upon obtaining a search warrant, investigators meticulously removed plywood floorboards from a separate room adjacent to the house and discover a boot, bone, and denture. The dentures are cross-referenced with Blodgett's dental records, which were obtained shortly after he was reported missing in early 2009. This process leads to a positive identification. During an emotional interaction with the police, Peralta, with tears streaming down his face, expresses his lack of understanding as to why he committed the act. At one point during the interview, he lowers his head onto a table and breaks into sobs, as captured in the police video. Peralta, aged 37, has been formally charged with first-degree murder during his arraignment on Tuesday. However, he did not attend the hearing. Represented by his public defender, Ray Conley, Peralta pleads not guilty to the charge. Conley refrains from making any comments following the hearing. The details outlined in an affidavit reveal Peralta's remorseful statements to detectives, conveying his desire to inform Blodgett's family that the victim was a good man who did not deserve the fate that befell him. Conley assures that Peralta's right to due process will be upheld as the case proceeds through the court system. A trial date for Peralta has been set for October by the judge presiding over the case, although this date may be subject to change. During the investigation, authorities interviewed Blodgett's family, friends, and neighbors and visited the shared residence of the two individuals. The residence appeared to have been abandoned with personal belongings still present. The initial missing person report indicated no immediate signs of foul play, and Blodgett's vehicle remained at the scene. Detectives periodically monitored the house but did not observe any suspicious activity. They even employed a trained cadaver dog to search for human remains on the property, but no evidence was found. The case remained unsolved as investigators exhausted all leads until Peralta's 911 call reignited the investigation. Rest in peace to Bill Blodgett, taken from this world way too soon.